The Galactic Council chamber was a vast hall of polished metal and shimmering light, where the voices of hundreds of species echoed in layered tongues. That day, all noise died when the Exarak Elder rose from his seat, his scaled face twisting with disdain. "Humans," he said slowly, as if the word itself was unclean, "are nothing more than beasts who learn to walk on two legs and mimic speech." A ripple of murmurs swept through the audience, some amused, others uneasy. Elias Rourke, the lone human envoy, did not react at once. He adjusted the cuff of his sleeve, his eyes moving across the curved rows of alien faces as though weighing each one. Then, without raising his voice, he asked, "And you didn't?" The words struck like a hidden blade, quiet, precise, impossible to ignore. Silence spread, broken only by the faint hum of the chamber's systems. Delegates exchanged glances, some with confusion, others with an almost guilty flicker in their eyes. Elias's calm expression did not change, but inside, he had already measured the effect of his question. It was not an insult. It was an invitation, one that dared every alien in the room to remember what they preferred to forget. The remark spread through the Galactic Council like a spark on dry grass, retold in whispers along corridors and behind closed doors. Some species laughed it off as human arrogance, but others avoided speaking of it altogether, their eyes shifting whenever the subject arose. Elias Rourke knew that reaction well. It meant there was something to hide. Away from the grand debates, he began to move quietly through the council's vast archive halls, where ancient records lay buried under centuries of forgotten files. He accessed restricted sections under the guise of research, his fingers brushing over old tablets etched with claw marks, armor plates dented by primal weapons, and records of hunts that were far more savage than any human history the council mocked. Every discovery was another thread in a web he was weaving, a truth the galaxy pretended did not exist. In dim, dust-scented vaults, Elias read the words of alien ancestors boasting of their kills, their trophies, their conquests. The more he uncovered, the more he saw the Council's polished diplomacy for what it truly was, a mask to hide teeth. And he knew, when the time came, those buried truths could shake the chamber far more than any single insult ever could. Elias moved through the Council's daily sessions with the same calm, measured presence as always, never raising his voice, never showing anger, yet every step he took left a shadow in the minds of those around him. In private, he began sharing fragments of his discoveries with carefully chosen delegates, just enough to unsettle them, never enough to reveal his full hand. Words spread in hushed tones. Old allies hesitated to meet each other's gaze, and discussions broke down as the fear of exposed history gnawed at the room. The Exarak Elder, once so confident in his insults, now sought Elias out in the quieter corners of the chamber, speaking in tight, urgent whispers, but Elias always walked away with the same unshaken smile. Guards from several species began following him, though they never managed to catch him off guard. It was as if he could sense them before they appeared, turning down side corridors at the exact moment they rounded a corner. The Council did not yet realize it, but Elias had shifted the balance without threats, without violence, only the steady pressure of a truth too dangerous to ignore. And in that silence, the fear of what he might reveal grew heavier with every passing day. The night of the high-security session arrived with an air so tense it felt like the chamber itself was holding its breath. Representatives from every major power were present, their expressions carefully neutral, though the faint twitch of a hand or the subtle tightening of a jaw betrayed unease. Elias Rourke stood at the central podium, a calm figure in a dark suit, the faint gleam of the council lights reflecting in his eyes. He began not with accusations, but with a proposal, an archive transparency law that would make all historical records, no matter how old, open to the public. The reaction was instant and explosive. Voices rose, hands slammed against tables. Translators struggled to keep pace with the flood of protests. "This is dangerous," one delegate barked. "This undermines unity," another declared. Elias waited for the uproar to crest, then, with a slight gesture, activated the chamber's main projection array. A grainy image appeared above them, an ancient Exarak hunting party, their talons slick with the blood of captured prey, their faces lit with savage triumph. Gasps rippled through the chamber, but Elias did not stop. The next image showed the Curene blood arenas, where warriors fought to the death for sport, cheered on by thousands. Then came the Veltari Sky Predator tournaments, their massive winged beasts tearing each other apart, while noble families placed bets. Each image hit like a hammer, shattering the carefully crafted image of a galaxy that had evolved beyond barbarism. Some delegates shouted for the feed to be cut, others sat in pale silence. But Elias knew it was already too late. The broadcast had gone live across dozens of star systems the moment he began. Out there, in colonies and homeworlds alike, citizens were seeing the truth their leaders had buried for generations. As the final image faded, Elias spoke only once more. You call humans beasts, yet here is the proof that we are no different from you. The only difference is, we do not hide from our past. Then he stepped away from the podium, leaving the chamber in a stunned, echoing silence, where the weight of unmasked history pressed down heavier than any weapon could. And in that silence, the council realized the human had just shifted the foundation of their world. In the days that followed, the council chamber felt different, quieter, heavier, as if every delegate now weighed their words before speaking. No one repeated the insult that had started it all. The word beast had vanished from the floor entirely. Some representatives avoided meeting Elias Rourke's gaze, while others greeted him with a respect that felt cautious, almost reluctant, as if acknowledging that the human had not just defended his people, he had reminded the galaxy of a truth they could not erase. Outside the chamber, the public reaction was even stronger. Citizens questioned why their histories had been hidden. Protests erupted on worlds that had not seen unrest in centuries, and the call for transparency grew louder each day. Elias did not gloat or celebrate. He attended sessions with the same quiet composure, listening more than he spoke, a faint, knowing smile touching his lips only when someone tried to speak too boldly. The fear was not of what he had already revealed, it was of what he might still be holding back. Every leader now wondered how much more the human knew and whether their own secrets were safe. In that new silence, power shifted. The council had learned something they would not forget. Humans did not fear being called predators. In fact, they wore the truth like armor. And somewhere deep down, an unspoken thought lingered in every mind. If humans ever chose to stop talking and start hunting, there would be nowhere in the galaxy to hide.